I feel like I'm trailblazing in my field, and I'm needing new examples for that. But I do feel like I gave myself permission to really be that trailblazer. I feel like I was able to look beyond the aspects of my chart that said, you're having a hard time. This is a problem. You're not good at this. And turn that into like that alchemical process of, oh my gosh, look at what I'm capable of.
Aloha, Leslie Tagorda here, your brand navigator, helping spiritually inclined entrepreneurs be seen as the luminary they are meant to be using astrology. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. Thank goodness this coming week is rather quiet astrologically compared to the huge cosmic shifts that have all been shaking us up recently, right? So just this past Friday, we had the beautiful new moon in Gemini. I hope that you are activating your intentions as you listen to this, because remember, when you set an intention during the new moon, an intention is only a wish if you do not take inspired action. Venus, as well as the other three planets, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, are still in retrograde. But Venus, our closest personal planet, is almost at the halfway point of its retrograde season. So, you probably are still really feeling it. I'll be talking about this more next week. And so there are really no astrology highlights this week. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing an interview with one of my favorite clients, Allison Mondel of Sacred Voice Studios. She's based in Maryland, and she teaches, coaches, and performs. She is trained as a classical musician, and she's worked through the years of a rigid conservatory training to break through and trailblaze a new way of approaching singing and bringing together people through their love of often forgotten women composers of the medieval period. The work that Allison does is truly beautiful. And as we worked together through our AstroBrand training, I guided her in her journey so that she was able to see herself not just as a vocal teacher, but as a vocal visionary, changing the way one approaches finding their own voice. In this chat, we're going to talk about her process of working with me, what she loved, her unexpected results, and most importantly, the way she committed to herself. What I love working with driven spiritual entrepreneurs like Allison is that, yes, she made a commitment to herself that she was going to show up as a leader in her field, despite feeling that her approach was out of the mainstream. But she also committed to her future self and found the value in community. And this is my true gift. And this is the people that I really, really connect with. So I'm going to have another episode on community, because as a business owner, we have to create and lead our own communities. But also we need to surround ourselves with our community of like-minded business leaders who, like us, have the same values and who also want to be supported and inspired by other leaders doing the same hard work to build something new. Community is everything. And as a business owner, you must choose who you spend your time with. Your time is so valuable. So be sure you are surrounding yourself with people that lift you as you lift others. So take a listen, and if you're interested in joining a free community of entrepreneurs that use astrology to grow their business, head over to my free Facebook group, also called The Savvy Luminary. And if you're ready to commit to your future self and your business like Allison did, apply to my immersion program, Luminary Rising. You can head over to thesavvyluminary.com/rising. So you too can surround yourself with other spiritual entrepreneurs while you build your brand so that you can help more people. So let's get back to the interview with the lovely Libra rising Allison Mondel of Sacred Voice Studios.
My name is Allison Mondel. I'm the founder of the Sacred Voice Studio and a transformational voice coach. I have founded this vocal coaching practice and a community that helps find a more loving, holistic, and spiritual connection with our voice.
Love that so much.
Yeah.
So when you first decided to work with me, what did you want to achieve, or what problems were you facing?
I was crippled by a lack of self-confidence and a compass. I knew that I had just started the earlier version of this company, Sacred Voice Studios, and I knew I had hit on something really vital and really meaningful, but I just didn't know how to pivot, how to find the audience that I really wanted to reach, how to also move out of the elite classical world of music and into something that is more holistic and integrated, because that's a very crucial component, a very crucial element of my coaching practice and of my understanding of who we are as divine instruments.
Yes.
So I knew I had hit on something great, but I had no idea what to do next. And I also felt extremely vague. And I also knew I needed support and I needed some community to just hold hands with and learn more and expand more and gain my confidence.
Oh, yes. That's a lot of stuff, especially coming from that classical world where we're basically like hammered out every single piece of confidence or love for our art. So when you were back there, if we could like go back way back when, so what would it mean for your business and you personally now that you've gone through everything? Like, how has it changed your business?
I'm always trying to be better at Allison. So I do feel like I'm starting to pull back the veil. I'm not starting, Leslie. I have already pulled back the veil of feeling scared and inadequate and actually living into aspects of leadership, of being more visible for sure, for being confident in how I represent my ideas. And because those ideas I've been tiptoeing around the mainstream for so long, and now I made like an official divorce from the mainstream to really own this aspect of my work. Yes, it's part of my personality. It's part of that larger soul's calling, but it also feels right. And I'm not apologizing for that anymore. I feel like I have been led to this wonderful new vocation, and now I'm living into that. The tricky part is how to create that by myself, because I just feel like I haven't totally found my tribe yet. So I'm working into establishing a community when I haven't felt like I've had that community for so long.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting challenge that I'm having right now.
Well,
but it's a good one.
Yes. And as you build it, as you get clear on that, like the people are going to find you because they've been looking for that as well. Right. So
yeah.
Like, we all expect like this, like grandiose, like, oh, I'm going to just build it and everybody's going to come. But we know that it doesn't work that way. And we know that this is just this wonderful thing.
The business itself became more purposeful. I really felt like I was able to get really clear on what the philosophy or the real motivating sort of force, the spirit of the business, if you will, that we really harbor the sacred voice within. And it's longing to be expressed in the world. And that we no longer have to chase something, but we inhabit this organically. I could not have articulated that to you. I also feel, I'm going to try to, there's so many pieces of this. So the other part of, so that was a great clarity in the overall sort of heart, if you will, of the business. But then one of the most important things, Leslie, was actually breaking down my business into clear pillars to actually say, I know this thing, this is the spirit of the thing, but how do I talk about it? How do I distill that so people can digest it and actually use it to their benefit? And so it was taking something that was so abstract and sort of intuitive on my part and giving it structure and clarity, which is not my strong suit on paper. it is when I talk to people, but not necessarily being clear in a systematic way. That was a huge, huge, important pivot. I will say, I think the most valuable element that is, yes, it's my business, but it's really because it's me. I am my business too. It was actually growing the awareness of this vocation and owning it. Like, I am aware through dissecting this chart and seeing how all of the elements in the chart are harmonizing to create a beautiful life, rather than one of hardship and dilemma and problem, but rather, what am I meant to do here? And that was a major sea change and something I hadn't ever thought of. And so being able to talk about these different points that you talked about, Leslie, in this program, even something as what seems to be basic, like a moon sign, to actually say, no, Allison, look at the treasure that is your moon sign. Look at, this is your compass, your Y compass, right?
Yes.
And to finally embrace that instead of push against it. So it was like erasing the resistance of who I am. Yes, on paper, because we're talking about the chart, but how that's distilling into my life, my vocation, and of course my business, because I'm trying to live out that vocation and, have a livelihood. So having that awareness piece and the embracing piece.
Yes. So getting clarity on what you're here to do and then actually stepping into it. Do you find that you did that both in like your business and in your personal life? Like in both those things?
Very much so in my personal life. And now as the business unfolds and I'm moving my chess pieces around, it's slower because it's much easier for me to say, yes, I feel that. I know that. But now I have to tell the world about it.
Yes.
So it's taking then the steps toward visibility.
But you've been doing it though, right? Like, yeah, tell me about the steps towards visibility that you've taken since you've worked with me.
I have been developing a rebrand where I'm adding content to my website, but also all of my marketing materials, where I really don't hold back on the spiritual elements of my practice, the sort of pieces of my framework that are definitely getting outside of that mainstream that I talked about before. So it's not apologizing for that, but starting to actually use it as the beacon that is so really a distinguishing factor about my business. As soon as the quarantine kept us at bay, I started doing a series of Facebook Lives where I said to everyone I knew on Facebook, we are going to talk about this very difficult thing that it's very difficult for me to talk about in public because it seems crazy. It's not crazy. It's just new.
So were you doing Facebook Lives before you worked with me?
No. Never. I didn't even show up on Facebook. Like, I was like a secret person. I was like a mole. Like, I'd come up and spy. I was so afraid to be seen.
Yeah. There were some other incredible things that you've done, like in a very short period. Like, tell me some of those things that we were talking about earlier, about how it would have taken you years to have done these things. But like, as soon as you worked with me, you're like, boom, 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 you did all these things.
Oh my gosh. There have been a lot of things. And I feel like in some ways they might not be a big deal, but to me, they felt like a huge deal.
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Absolutely showing up on social media, including something as simple as an Instagram account. Why was it so difficult to have an Instagram account? It's not difficult, but when your mind is just holding you shackled, that it's not okay to show up authentically in these arenas. So now it's like, here are the beautiful things that I want to put out there. I'm going to put them out there. I started my own private Facebook community, which I have been wanting to do for 2 years. I've started sort of activities in that circle that would have hit a really huge edge too. Again, working with the spiritual realm. So there's also an element in my practice, in my vocal coaching practice, which is not so public, but working with my students and my clients in a way that is more holistic, in my opinion, going to benefit them much more than any kind of nuts and bolts work that we're doing. But being able to speak my truth in that context too. I also direct a vocal ensemble. I was able to launch a huge international project this past February. I did things in that performance and in preparation for that performance that I would never have been capable of doing. And that hit all kinds of edges for me too. So without getting into too much detail, there were these huge leaps of faith, kind of, but it really was just like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to fulfill my dream and see my vision grow and expand. And I'm capable of that, of course.
So the common thread about all of that, right? It's like, yes, you stood up and you were visible. Yes, you're like teaching your students how from this more authentic place of like accessing the spiritual versus just the technical, right? This creating your Facebook group, creating your Instagram account. How do you feel about yourself as a leader now versus then?
I am a Leo, as you know. I have this inherent leadership piece, but it scared the bejesus out of me for so long. So the leadership was very clearly illuminated when I saw how I feel like I've been led through a process in my life towards a deeper understanding of what that means here on the ground, to actually say, yes, I am here to be a leader, period. I am going to embrace that, as I mentioned before, like it is undeniable. It is part of your calling. And can I live into that? And so that, I think, very importantly has shown up in, I am not going to apologize for all of the sort of output and understanding and wisdom that I have acquired, and I'm here to help other people, to serve other people. So that became clear, like I am here to use my experience and my intuition and my wisdom to lead others towards this deeper, beautiful connection with their singing, with their voice, with themselves. And no apologies, Allison. So it was embracing, it was sort of greater seeing and understanding patterns of life, the journey. And now, as I mentioned before, like in my business, doing that little by little, brick by brick, where I am showing up as that leader.
Yes.
I am saying, here is what I think, and I want to help you, essentially.
Yes. And what I think is like, this is it, right? I believe in what I think.
Yes, I believe in what I think. Yes.
With the framework, right, that we had in the Crystallize the Core trainings, what part of working within that made the biggest impact for you?
The Crystallize framework.
Yeah, and I'll just to remind the vision, and then there's the voice and style.
Oh, I remember. I feel like the most, I'd say part A and part B. Part A is, I think, the why piece was something that I really needed to know. And I was at sea with that. So it was sort of the vision then, this vision. Easily the most important thing, I think, these are core elements of how we are, the soul of the business, the soul of the core components of you as expressed through the business. But really, why do I show up and do this? Why am I here to do this? Really looking at those sort of standard luminaries, the sun, the moon, and the rising, but having a whole new level of understanding about those things. Huge. Not to mention the other sort of our values and our communication style and our ideal clients. I'm pointing to the second house, third house.
Yep.
And just being able to wrap my head around all those things and distill that, and going through our worksheets and just asking myself questions that I'd never asked before to spark, not new ideas, but to spark things that are unconsciously embedded in myself.
Yeah, to bring it all up.
To bring it up. And I resisted some of those things. I'm like, this is too hard. I could not possibly even answer. And sometimes I had to step back and say, this is too hard. So I plant the seed. I'm like, I'm going to come back to this, knowing that it's going to take this amount of energy to work with it. The other sort of piece for me that was super wonderful and helpful, vision voice style, was some real nuts and bolts help with how to communicate, how to distill how to represent the aspects of the chart in the world through my language, through my visuals. As you know, I'm an extremely visual person. I love creating beautiful things. And I have definitely been hemming and hawing, because that's also a thing I do about, I could do so many beautiful things. How am I going to distill this into something that is really going to authentically tie in with my chart? So having all of these, especially with your expertise in web design and as just a designer, to be able to say, here are the things that you can do to authentically line up you and your brand.
From those specific things that were so helpful, what was the big impact?
The big impact was completely stepping into all of the greatest things that I'm meant to do. Like, that's the impact. That's a lot.
It's like, how can you it's so really difficult to talk about that, right? Like, what does that, like, how can, like, you know how it feels and how to express that to somebody about like just the transformation of like who you were back in October to who you are now, right? If you could talk to yourself back in October, right? If you could go back to like Allison of October 2019, what do you think she would be like the most surprised with of what you accomplished?
She was walking her walk and talking her talk. Like, she was really able to get out there and speak her mind and show up.
Would she have believed that? Would Allison October 2019 believed?
I think she would have. At some level, yes. Because I'm just hell-bent on doing a good job in my life. So
yes, overachiever.
I think, yes. And I remember as Sessa, one of your friends that I met at your retreat, said, you just don't have enough data points. I did not have any data points. I had 0 data points other than I'm confused and I'm scared. I feel like, and I'm thinking of like saying something to myself now for what happens later. Like, it's only going to get more solidified.
Oh, so if we think back then, did you almost not, did you have any objections or any kind of fears before you thought about working with me?
I had never invested so much financially in a program before, and owing to my state of confusion, there was a miniature disconnect, but I also, like, every cell in my body was like, do it. Do it. No resistance, just do it. Do it. So, other than that, no, 0 objections.
Well, but isn't it interesting about the fear that comes out like the first time you invest in yourself?
Yes, that is a thing.
It is a huge thing. And then like after you do that big investment and you're like, oh gosh, like I should have done that sooner.
That was worth it. Yes. But I also believe you're ready when you're ready. So
yes.
So it was the big shift for me at that time. It was really important, and I was prepared to go all in, like, and invest in myself in that way. Yeah.
Well, what did you have to tell yourself to take that leap of investment? Because that's a real thing. Like, I want people to know that it's like, you know, like people don't just buy just like it's a hard thing to do.
I think knowing that it would bring me so much stability, clarity, and a place to build from, that I knew it was sort of part of that was I knew full well I would gain back my investment. I didn't doubt that my business wouldn't grow, you know? And in fact, I knew that would grow depending on my commitment to myself too. So there was that, I know that it was an investment that returns. That was very clear. The other part of this is I'm making that commitment to myself.
Right. When you spend that money, you're like,
for me, right?
I gotta do it.
It's on you, Allison. So, and it was like a commitment to my future self too. So yeah, that was nice.
I love that. So recommendations. Who would you recommend working with me for?
Who would I recommend? Like what kind of person?
That grammar wasn't very good. Yeah.
I think I know. What kind of person would be a good fit to work with you?
Yes. And this program.
I would say that I think the people that are going to gain the most from this program are people that are really ready to up level the state of their business, that they're going to commit to the personally intense work that comes along with the modules, the commitments, the person that is really ready to take the raw materials and build it into something concrete and ready to hit the ground. The person that has a sense of maybe they know what their vocation is, but they're not sure. Maybe they feel like it's too broad, or they can't quite figure out what their role is or how to make themselves stand out or to find that unique platform. And they're looking for something that's really going to be so aligned with who they are.
Yes.
In their field, in their slice of the pie chart. But definitely a person that is going to really harvest as much as they can from the myriad insights that are going to come up.
I love that so much. I find it challenging to talk about because like the transformation is so deep and it's so holistic. It's in so many levels that I think, so last question. What has been your absolute most favorite part working with me and this program?
You.
I
love you. I knew the second I heard you speak on Natalie Wallstein's podcast. Like, I want to know that person. I listened to the podcast again. I never listened to podcasts twice. I listened again and I thought, I'm going to make an appointment with this person. And then I found out how much we have in common, of course, and that your essence and your spirit and your personality are so vibrant and so warm. And I enjoyed every week showing up and seeing your face and just connecting with you. You're my role model. I think I respect your journey, and I see a lot of your journey reflected in my journey too. So there you go.
Aww, that's just the sweetest thing. Thank you so much, Allison. You have been such a joy to work with. And I can feel all of your support in that you're just, you're always there when I need help.
Anytime.
Showing up. All right, so there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this interview as much as I enjoyed it. Again, remember, you're not alone. Please hop on over to The Savvy Luminary. It's a free Facebook group on Facebook, and it's filled with other like-minded entrepreneurs using astrology to grow their brand visibility. And if you're really ready to connect and commit to your highest self and grow your business, and you felt connected to me that I could be the guide to show you the way, please head over to thesavvyluminary.com/rising to find out more and if we could work together. Until next week, bye. Mahalo for listening to this brand new podcast. If you enjoyed learning about astrology for entrepreneurs, help me spread the word by sharing this podcast with your business besties, and hop over to The Savvy Luminary for links to episode notes and our free Facebook community where you can send me questions about astrology or branding, as well as connect with other like-minded businesses.